I was born May 14, 1924 in Portland, Multnomah County, Oregon to Sadie Ellen Bowen Erickson and George Edward Erickson. I was the third of 4 girls. I was my parents' smallest baby. A Dr. Scott delivered me at home. We lived in a 2-bedroom house at 82nd and Division Streets that my father built. I slept in my parents' bedroom until I was about 4 years of age. My father always shed tears when this change was made. I then slept in a double bed in the other bedroom with my 2 older sisters. About that time my youngest sister, Norma, was born. I didn't know what was happening, but I thought my father had killed a chicken and my mother was crying. I was a quiet, thoughtful child. I didn't like to get dirty and loved to pretend. My father would sit in a rocking chair and hold me and sing wonderful songs. I dropped Dolly, broke her head, The Parson and the Bear, Come Away with Me, Lucille, and many others. He could whistle like a bird and make such real-sounding animal sounds. Mother was a good cook and sewed most of our clothes. She loved to go to town and bring us surprises when she would come home. I especially loved the time she brought home a small baby doll in a peanut shell for each of us. Papa Erickson, Daddy's father, stayed with us part of the time. Because I sat quietly and loved to listen, he would tell me about his life and share his thoughts with me. I remember before he died in an accident, he told me he would come back and tell me if there were life after death if it were possible. I was afraid he would after he died, and I was afraid to go to the basement where some of his clothes hung for some time. I loved him dearly. He would whisker me and always had peppermints in his pockets. He would say, "This child had such unusual eyes, she never blinks." I exercised outside so little that my parents were happy when, after giving me a tricycle for Christmas, I'd ride and ride. I always had a lot of muscle pain and would faint when I tried to climb hills with my sisters. Mother thinks now that I may have had rheumatic fever. I still have muscle spasms and my heart is undersized. As a child, I yearned to be an actress and loved to write and tell stories. I especially loved to tell scary ones. My sister Ethel had a small coal oil lamp, and I'd tell scary stories by lamplight. The shadows in the kitchen would look eerie as my sisters and neighbor children sat around the table while I told blood-curdling tales. Mother finally made me stop when the neighbor boy would come out of the room with his face fiery red and my little sister, Norma, wet her pants. I loved school and learned easily, but I suffered from extreme shyness. I was so small when I started school that there wasn't a desk small enough for me. My teacher, Miss Stone, placed me in the smallest desk and put a box under my feet so that they wouldn't dangle in midair. The older children would run to pick me up and carry me on the playground. I found their attention flattering but frustrating. My first grade teacher had white hair and was very kind to us. She kept a supply of bedroom slippers and dry, warm stockings for children who got to school with wet feet. Our school was composed of portable units that were heated individually with wood-burning stoves. Those dear teachers were expected to stoke the fires. The name of the school was Binsmed. I worried about the days we were weighed, because I'd have holes in my stockings sometimes. Mother liked for me to be given free milk, so I was instructed to always say that Daddy wasn't working. I hated that. I was a proud little girl and didn't like to lie. Daddy was working part of the time. Our country was in a terrible depression, but we owned a large grocery store that we leased to others. Mother and Daddy were having trouble supporting us, but they took out the rent in groceries. I remember having to wear little dresses with matching bloomers. The bloomers had elastic in the legs and were supposed to be worn at the knee. They'd hang out from under our dresses. My oldest sister, Bessie, and I would pull ours up after we got out of Mother's sight, but my sister, Ethel, would always leave hers at the knee and tell on us. We worked in the summers picking raspberries, beans, and hops to buy our school clothes and supplies. Mother worked with us. We would give her part of our money each year to buy something. One year we bought a carpet for the living room. Another year we bought a suit for Daddy. I remember buying 12 oranges and eating them all. I could never get enough milk to drink. Our diet was good, but like most children, I longed for certain foods. Once in a great while Daddy would give us a penny, and we went to a neighborhood store where there was a large supply of penny candy. All-day suckers, dipped in chocolate, bubble gum that came in all colors, sticks of candy with rings with bright stones on them, candy birds and many other wondrous treats. I had an appendectomy when I was 14. I was then in the 8th grade at Marysville Elementary School. We had moved into a rented house when I was in the 6th grade on Southeast 75th Street. It was a large house with 4 bedrooms. I shared a large upstairs front bedroom with my youngest sister, Norma. She was messy and lazy about putting her things away, so I didn't enjoy that. In the 6th grade, I entered Marysville as the shortest girl in my class, and by the end of the year, I was next to the tallest. After graduating from grade school, I wanted to attend Franklin High School where I could take a college prep course, but my sister, Ethel, who was 1 year ahead of me in school, wanted to go to the High School of Commerce, so Mother made me go there too. I wanted to be a nurse, so this was very disappointing. I majored in bookkeeping and enjoyed all varieties of math. I was an honor student, was feature editor of our school paper, and an officer in beta cirrhosis. As a small child, I was privileged to attend a home primary at the home of Sister Merlin Cromer. She was the next-door neighbor of my Aunt Lela Anderson. Later, Sister Cromer took me to MIA. I didn't really understand what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was all about, but I do appreciate those early experiences now. When I was in high school, my sister, Bessie, became a Seventh-day Adventist. She tried to interest the rest of the family in her church. Mother became a member, and I wasn't allowed to go out on a date unless I went to church with them on Saturday. I didn't feel this was fair. I was intrigued by the Sabbath keeping and found the people to be good. When I was 14, we went hop picking in the summer as usual, and there I met a tall, curly-headed fellow who seemed so gentlemanly. He came to see me one evening where we were camped. He was a Latter-day Saint, was 17, and lived nearby in Gervais. I remember praying that I might marry him someday. We spent many happy times with the Cook family. There was at home the mother, Agnes Cook. She was so sweet and kind. The children at home were Malcolm, Ray, Dot, and Jimmy. Malcolm was probably close to 30. Ray was in his 20s and Dot and Jimmy were twins and about 18. Bessie fell in love with Ray, but never could compromise on religion. The Cooks were Catholic. I fell in love first with Malcolm and later with Jimmy. They were dear people and gave me the sweetest experiences of my youth. We were all clean and good and enjoyed simple fun. I graduated from high school in January of 1942. Japan had just attacked Pearl Harbor. Our high school principal, Mr. Elton, cried in an assembly when he told us of the declaration of war. I was asked to make our class prophecy humorous because these were such dangerous times. I was a good student, so I was allowed to go to work in December before graduation. I went to work in the control office at Meyer and Frank Company. It was the largest department store in Portland.